Welcome back to Kicking in the Second Half, Kish YZ. We're bringing to you another D Daily. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but obviously I'm D, but I'm not doing this alone. I got Hugh on the other side. What's up, Hubert?
Yo, what's up? How's everybody doing?
Hey, yeah, thanks for joining me on this. These D Dailies started because the Hugh Weekly, you were missing one day and went incognito. I think you fell
Yeah, I
asleep
went
on that couch
MIA.
over there.
We
And
will never know what happened.
Well, I do know what happened, and then this is the result of it. A D Daily, but thanks for joining me here with the D Daily. Yeah, we just want to touch on Jamal Murray and Steph Curry, but first let's start out with Jamal Murray. He tore his ACL last night. I think we were doing that podcast right. We were in the middle
Yeah,
of recording, and then you broke the news to me because you were watching the Warriors Nuggets game, and you said he went down, but he didn't like make like physical contact with the player, but he
no.
was just like in pain. And
Yeah, he starts smacking the floor real hard like they do.
yeah, when you told me about it after we finished recording, I was like, man, that sounds like it might be ACL or something. And obviously, that's what it turned out to be. So ACL or injuries that takes a while to recover from. You know from yourself as far as being a fan with Clay Thompson having that same injury occur to him. It takes a while. It takes like about a season, a full calendar year to recover. So we might not see him at all next season. Just depends on how his rehab goes. We might see him as early as maybe 9 months from now, which might put it back in around January, around New Year's, best case scenario. But yeah, Hubert, I wanted to ask you, man, how do you think this affects Denver's playoff run?
Yeah, I think it's a big blow to Denver's playoff run. I mean, obviously they still have Jokic. He's in the MVP conversation. So I mean, you still have him. So that's one thing you got going for you. And they got Michael Porter Jr. They got a lot of good guys still in Denver. They got good bench guys. I mean, I think they'll still be okay to some extent. But yeah, Jamal Murray, I mean, he's one of their top playmakers. He started the season off with bubble fatigue, as you call it. Um, you've talked about that a lot. I don't want to say struggled to begin the year, but he wasn't putting up the numbers he is now. But probably since a little bit before the All Star break, he's kind of flipped that switch and he's been going crazy here lately. Been doing his thing like he was in the bubble last year. But yeah, so I think it's a big blow. It's a huge like I say, he's one of their best playmakers in my opinion. He's coming into one of the best point guards in the league. So I mean, anytime you lose someone that valuable in any team, it's a huge blow. But yeah, I mean, they still have Jokic. So I mean, and they're in great playoff position now. So I mean, I think they'll be okay for the rest of the regular season. Now when playoffs come, and they have to play these series with these elite teams. Yeah, then I think it's gonna make more of a difference. And maybe I don't have them going as far as I initially did.
Yeah, I mean, also you have to consider past this. I know I just asked you about the playoffs, but for the future of the Denver Nuggets, because like I said, this is an injury that takes a year or so to recover from, and plus he's a point guard. He has some explosiveness, not as far as a lot of leaping ability. He does do some nice dunks here and there occasionally, but the speed and the change of speed, this could affect that a little bit as far as his growth or his overall ceiling as a player, as far as his peak in his game, how far he can climb to. If he has a false move in his recovery, it could be some long term effects for that, where he won't ever quite be the same type of player. But yeah, with all that being said, I also think that this is a great opportunity for MPJ, Michael Porter Jr. Hugh, you and I have touched on this when we did our one of our Kish debates, I think, on like who would you choose to start a franchise with. You remember that episode?
Yep.
And you were leaning towards MPJ, and I was leaning towards Jamal Murray. Maybe this is the time now, uh, due to the circumstances, that they have to focus more on developing MPJ and getting this guy more touches. I mean, he's definitely a talented player there, and Jokic is definitely going to need some help in the last stretch of the regular season to maintain where they're at. Obviously, in the playoffs, we need to see MPJ have some better defense for the playoffs in order for the Denver Nuggets to make it past, the second round. I guess it depends on where they're at for the first round. It's going to be tough if they slip now because of the absence of Jamal Murray. I mean, they do have some bench players there that will help fill the role, but if they're slipping and they have a tough matchup, or even if they're staying where they're at in the middle, and let's say potentially the Lakers are their first round matchup. That's going to be probably a really tough series for them because I always felt like anytime the Lakers play teams, the point guard position is the hardest position for them to guard when their whole team is healthy. Not that they can't guard the point guard position, but I feel like they do struggle with that a little bit more. And without having that upcoming, all-star guard and Jamal Murray, that's really going to take a toll if that matchup occurs.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Like I said, I think they'll still make the playoffs. They're like I said, they have a good bench. They have good starters. I think now it's even more important, or it looks even better that they went out and got Aaron Gordon, another playmaker on offense that can help them out there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like you just said, I mean, once playoffs come. Sorry, and you get in these 7-game series with these teams. All these individual all these
It's all right.
individual matchups are important. And it's not just team versus team, it's these individual matchups. And you play, like you touched on the Lakers, but teams with elite point guards in the East. I mean, excuse me, man, the West. Utah with Donovan Mitchell, or the Phoenix with Chris Paul. I mean, teams like that with really good point guards. I think it's going to show then. And yeah, I mean, especially against the Lakers, it's a great team. And yeah, so I think they might have some trouble when it comes to the playoffs.
Maybe the Denver Nuggets will have a new scheme of the take on small ball, run small ball down low for your power forward and center positions, and actually run big ball for the point guard position. Have Jokic bring the ball down, right?
There you go. Hey, it's worth a try.
Yeah, you might have to do that in that scenario if the back's against the wall in the playoffs. Let's move on to Steph Curry. You were talking last night during the game. What was the fun fact of what he needed to do for the record? He became the all-time Warriors leading scorer in franchise history.
Yeah, yeah, he needed 19 points at the start of the game, and the announcers were kind of saying before, it was like, hey, I got a feeling he's going to try to pull this out in the first quarter. And I think he came out and knocked back-to-back threes, or back-to-back three-pointers down. And they're like, he's gonna go for it in the first half, in the first quarter. And yeah, he did. I think it was like, I don't know, a minute some left or something like that. And yeah, he was needed 2 points to pass him. And yeah, he just took the ball in uh and brought it all the way up the court, and then just ran when he got to the 3-point line, and ran and did a layup. And yeah, got it like that in the first quarter. So big props to Steph.
And then I think you also told me he had 10 made 3-pointers for the game, right?
10, yep.
Yeah,
Shot what, like 10 for 18, maybe something like that.
Yeah, definitely over 50% there. So yeah, big props to Steph Curry, bro. You think I should get a jersey?
Facts.
Really? Okay. Well, you just
Why
witnessed
not,
history.
bro? He's the
You're
best
part of
shooter
history.
in
You
he's the
were
best
actually
shooter
watching
in
that
NBA
game while we
history.
were recording
Yeah,
podcast. Excuse me.
he's the best shooter in NBA history. Why wouldn't you get a jersey?
I
Show
mean,
your
I'm not a
respect.
bandwagoner type of guy, so
But you
maybe
respect
down
you
the
respect
road.
this game, right?
I do respect this game. I do. I definitely do respect this game because of what he does. On a personal note, it's like no other we've seen before.
And
I mean,
like you
I
said,
definitely respect that.
and we got some ties to him through people that we know in our personal life. So I mean, yeah, just show your support.
I tell you what, I'll definitely get one if he joins LeBron.
There it is.
There it is. There it is. I want to ask you one question before we finish this up.
Let's hear it.
Why shouldn't the Warriors make the playoffs?
Why shouldn't they?
Why shouldn't they?
You mean reasons I don't think they will, or should they?
Why should they not make the playoffs? It's because of this.
I mean, you don't want to risk him getting hurt.
Exactly. It's because of this.
Well,
This is the performance. This is what I'm getting at the angle with this question. This performance alone is showing you what this guy is capable of basically on a nightly basis. I would hate to see him have some type of minor setback or injury to end the regular season or make it to the playoffs. And he's getting pressured heavy in a playoff series because teams are going to attack the best player. And without any extra relief, who knows the situation with Wiseman? Obviously, there's no Klay Thompson. Draymond Green can only do so much offensively as far as producing points. he does generate offense for others, but this might put so much pressure on Steph that could cause some type of tweak with his ankles, or something with his legs, which we wouldn't want to see because he has had ankle issues throughout his career. And performances like this give you great hope for when Clay returns, for when Wiseman returns next year, or the big what ifs episode we did, if they were to trade for Karl Anthony Towns and form a huge big three or a big four, if you want to throw Draymond back in there. This is the future still here. You definitely have to protect this player and protect your investment, because we talked about not too long ago of how the Warriors can be right back in that NBA championship chase discussion next season, like immediately. Could have been this year, but like I said, with Klay Thompson getting hurt before the season, your hopes is looking at next season.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally get what you're saying, and I'm sure as a front office that they've thought about that, but you got to think too. I mean, being an athlete and a competitor, and also being a fan base, I'm not going to sit here and say, yeah, they probably shouldn't make the playoffs. I mean, of course, being a fan and each one of those guys on that team being athletes and competitors, they're like, man, we're going to go out here and make the playoffs. Because I mean, one thing to me when I think about not making the playoffs and like potentially getting like a higher draft pick or whatever, the way I think about that, a lot of times I understand it if you have a glaring need somewhere. But I mean, if you look at the healthy Warriors roster, you got Steph, you got Clay, you got Wiggins, you got Oubre, you got Draymond, you got Wiseman. I mean, a healthy Clay and a more developed, experienced James Wiseman, and like you said, I mean, I think that team's making a run there. And so,
yeah, and I'm not
while I
trying
don't want
to
Curry to get hurt, I mean,
I'm not trying to make the case for them tanking. Like, I don't want to see that happen. I want the competition too, but there's other ways to that, as far as like limiting how many minutes Curry plays. Maybe he shouldn't be playing more than 30 minutes. I didn't make the case before that. Now I see why the Warriors should possibly make the playoffs, was because of the development of James Wiseman. But without James Wiseman there, Steph Curry's already been into the mix with, making playoff runs, obviously Draymond Green. And yeah, it wouldn't hurt for like Wiggins or Oubre to have that playoff experience, but at the same time, at what cost? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that they have to tank or not try to make the playoffs, but maybe scale back on the workload of Steph Curry, because you're only going to make it so far, in my opinion, in these playoffs. And I'd hate to see him get hurt, even if they were to win the first round and have an upset on whoever they're playing in the first round and be an underdog. And then to go to the second round, you don't want to see a player like that get injured, which will cost you more for next season. That's just my case in this argument. It's not, yeah, I don't want to see them tank because they're not that type of culture team. But at the same time, the fan base is limited as far as who can show up to the games. And yeah, like I said, if they just limited his playing time or capped it off around 30 minutes, then I think it would be understandable from a fan's perspective, because you're talking about, he can either do it, one or two ways, kind of like play most of his minutes early on, like first quarter, some in the second, and a lot in third, maybe some in the fourth, as far as still being able to put up production, still seeing him shoot threes, make his points, or, just slack off in the middle quarters and have him try to pick it up in the fourth. But then again, you're adding pressure there. So yeah, that was just the namesake of my argument, was just to kind of, go easy on them from a franchise standpoint, I guess, as far as the managers go with his minutes restriction or minutes load. If Kawhi Leonard can do it, I think it would be wise for Steph Curry to have that as well.
Yeah, yeah, and while I don't, I mean, disagree with you, I would agree that if we were blown out, one of the bottom teams in the West had no contention making the playoffs, I would say sit them the rest of the year, kind of like Al Horford's doing for the Thunder over there for y'all. I would just say sit them. But yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, and that's it's a narrow line. I'm sure everybody looks at it a different way. I can see both sides of the argument there. I mean, I would be for that. I would be for Curry, we still have a shot for the playoffs, but we want you 100% healthy for next year. We don't want to risk nothing. So, sit down for 30 minutes, play probably 30 minutes, use your max for a game. And I see that. But then, I mean, if you get towards the end of the regular season and, you're a game or two out from making the play-in tournament or whatever the standards are, if you're close to being it, then they might want to pick that back up. Or, I mean, I wouldn't be mad as a fan this season if we didn't make the playoffs. I don't think many people expected us to even make the playoffs. So, I mean, even to be in contention right now is where it exceeded expectations to some extent. You know, we've seen Curry like pick up and carry this team this season like we've never seen him do before. So I mean, I think even if we don't make the playoffs this year, that it's still been a successful season for the Warriors. And you see Wiseman's potential. Unfortunately, he got hurt, but you see Wiggins ball in some games. You see Oubre really stepped it up for the beginning of the year. So I think this season has been a success, and you know what you got going forward. And yeah, I do see where you're coming from, and I feel both ways about it. I don't want Curry to get hurt, obviously, but then on the other hand, I'm a fan. I want to see him be competitive and finish the best record they can. So I mean, it's just something you got to weigh back and forth. But maybe Curry, maybe sitting back to backs, I don't understand, and precautions like that, like you said. But yeah, but I don't want to see him hurt. I guess that'd be my main priority.
Yeah, you said it right. You said it best. You heard it here from a Warriors fan's perspective here. Thank y'all for kicking it in the second half, Kish YZ. I'm gonna give a shout out to the whole Steph Curry family, his immediate family, his family that's here as well, and to the Warriors fans, Steph Curry's fans, and shout out to you, Hugh. And just we'll keep this thing moving. Thank you for the D Daily, Hugh.
Yes, sir. Thanks for letting me come on here.
Yes, sir. Hey, give us a like if you like this video, and give us a subscription if you would like to keep up with the rest of our videos and our podcasts and our shoes segments and whatever else we got going on. Hugh?
Yeah. I want to give a shout out to Jamal Murray. While I'm not your biggest fan, I hate to see anybody go down with injury, and especially y'all with how good y'all were in the playoff rankings, and what the amazing things y'all were doing over there in Denver. So yeah, I mean, I never want to see anybody get hurt. So yeah, shout out you, and I hope your rehab goes smooth and you can come back better than ever. But yeah, if you like the video, if you want to keep seeing more, give me a sub. No tomatoes.
Doesn't like the veggies. That's what's up. Oh yeah. Also, on a quick note, shout out to the Canadians. Sorry about this, because I heard on the radio that he was supposed to be playing in the Olympics for the Canadian national team. He is Canadian. So unfortunately, there's another blow there for Jamal Murray fans. Say bye
Poor
to the people.
Canadians. Hey, y'all have a good night.
Yeah, thank y'all for kicking the second half. Peace and love.